Hi, I am Gloria Rand, and welcome to Rocky Road to Success, where we give you the real scoop on business success by talking with entrepreneurs about some of the mistakes they've made along the way on the road to success and some of the lessons learned. So hopefully we can kind of shorten the learning curve if you're just getting started in business or even if you've been in business for a while. And so joining me today is a multi-talented woman who I first met, I think, at the Spark and Hustle conference years ago. Her name is Maura Knowles, and she's an actor, a singer. She's a certified health coach. She's also the CEO of a company named Mac-n-Mos, which is how I found out about her first. But I'm going to let her jump in here and see if I can get her on here and let her tell you a little bit more about herself. Hi.
Oh, how are you?
I am good. I'm good. Glad to hear you. Oh, I hear thunder. Hopefully, well, I'm on wired connection, so hopefully it'll stay up.
Okay. Very different. We're in California. There's no thunder here. We welcome rain.
Yeah, I know. Well, we're in Florida and we get lots of it. So,
Yes,
oh well, I'd give some to you if I could.
Please just keep
Yeah.
thinking about it. Maybe it'll come our way.
Okay, sounds good.
So I'm pleased to be here. Thank you so much for asking me to be on your show. And I can't even remember. Did you have a question?
Oh, let's see. Yeah. Well, I guess tell us a little bit, because I guess you're concentrating more on acting now, but are you still involved in some of the other businesses like Mac-n-Mos
Oh yeah.
Share a little bit about what that's about.
Yes.
Yeah.
So before I created Mac-n-Mos, I was making a living as an actor and singer. And then my father, Mac, his nickname is Mac, my nickname is Mo. He survived a quadruple bypass surgery. He is also diabetic. I have celiac disease. So when he got out of the hospital, he begged me to create something that he was allowed to eat. His diet had become so restricted. And about 20 years ago, I had a really horrible surgery that went wrong. And I was sent home with a very, very restricted diet. So I understood very, very close, dear to my heart, how much it sucked to be on such a restricted diet. And when you survive some, life and death health, like my dad did, like I did, you feel like you deserve a treat.
Yeah.
So he begged me to create something for him. I was always the baker in the family. And so, but he couldn't have salt or sugar or sweeteners. I can't have gluten. And everything was supposed to be more plant-based for him. So I didn't know what I was doing, but I just kept, creating. And finally I created morsels. I call them morsels, not cookies, because Mac-n-Mos rap is cookies have egg, sugar, butter, and fat. Mac-n-Mos morsels have none of that.
Love it.
So that was my little, way of branding.
Yeah.
Mac-n-Mos Morselicious treats. They're not cookies. They're not sweetened. I have a huge fan base, a very loyal base, but people who are used to cookies and treats, if they're still on sugar, they're not sweet enough for them. So I just thought, if I don't call them cookies, they'll have a different expectation. So that was my branding, which is also something I realized is also confusing to many people, and it made my path a lot more challenging. And then because of creating Mac-n-Mos, then I became immersed in baking and getting them into stores. It became my life. So acting took a back burner for about 5 years. And then I went to nutrition school to learn more, to get certified so I could work with clients, because people were constantly calling me and emailing me wanting my advice and wanting me to create recipes for them. And I felt like I needed a little more credential, a little more education, even though I was still to this day, all I do, I study, I create, every day, just to give me a little more confidence, a little more cachet. Yeah. So then nutrition school. And then about 2 years ago, I went back into acting. So now I'm finding a way to better balance constantly. I'm still working on balance, Mac-n-Mos with my health coaching and my acting. And so far, knock wood, I'm able to, some days get more priorities, some weeks get more priorities. Right now I'm doing a play, and that's taking up a lot of my brain and emotions. So, but in the morning is when I typically will do a lot of work for Mac-n-Mos, because my acting community, unless I'm doing a film, theater people aren't up that early. And even the industry, we may be called a set early, but agents and casting people aren't up, or they're not doing business before 8 a.m. Whereas in baking and the East Coast, obviously I can get a lot done before the West Coast comes to life.
That's very cool. So I know you mentioned a little bit of the challenge with branding. So one of the things I always like to ask our guests is, what was there like one kind of key mistake or something that that tripped you up, and especially looking back now, you're like, if I'd only known, now what I didn't know then, things would have been different. So have you found something like that?
Well, there's a few things, Gloria, because the reason I should explain, the reason I created Mac-n-Mos for my dad is because my mom and I went shopping to every natural food market we could find to find him something he could eat. Nothing existed on the market that he could eat that met all of his dietary restrictions. To this day, nothing like Mac-n-Mos exists.
Wow.
There are low sugar products out there, but they're higher in sodium, or they have preservatives, or they have gluten, or they have other things, or they use sugar alternatives or sweeteners. And now I'm realizing, now that I'm in the business, now that I'm actually doing it, and how hard it is to not have a shelf life and to be such a purist. I call myself the Laura Ingalls of baking. It's very, very challenging because shelf-stable products, obviously you can make bulk, and the reality is they won't go bad very quickly. My products, the reason people buy my products are because they're pure, because as soon as they get them, they have to put them in the fridge or the freezer. But it's a double-edged sword, because from a business standpoint and from stores, they want shelf stable. They say they want the healthier choices, but it's numbers too. So that's a challenge. And then explaining what a morsel is and morselicious treats. That's, once people get it, they love it. They're hooked.
Yeah.
They think it's fun. And I keep saying, it's just going to take that one person to brand the term morselicious, and then it'll become a household name. But it hasn't happened quite yet. So those are my challenges. And in hindsight, I had no idea how hard the food industry would be, especially healthy food. Acting is, I know that challenge. It is, it's a crazy, amazing whirlwind of a ride. I mean, and I love it with my heart and soul, which is, for 5 years, I pretty much put it on the back burner. And then I woke up and I thought, what am I doing? I never meant to give it up. But I kind of knew what I was in for in the acting world. Now that I've been doing it long enough, not right out of college, I didn't quite know. I was very wide-eyed. But the food industry, because of all the laws and the FDA, there's so many other things in doing business in California. It just presents a whole other level of obstacles, challenges. And my favorite quote, and I'm saying this now because I remind myself of this daily, Audrey Hepburn is my hero. I think she was an amazing woman in every sense of the word, as a person, as a soul, as a role model, as an actor. And she said, nothing is impossible. The word itself says, I'm possible.
Yes, I love that quote too. Yeah.
So on days when I think, oh, what am I doing? Oh my gosh, I might get a phone call from somebody who their local store is out of Mac-n-Mos, and they'll call me and, beg me to ship them some. And those are and I'm telling you, those calls fill me for weeks and weeks and weeks. And there was one woman who recently moved to the Midwest to finish medical school. And she said, I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, there's no Santa Monica co-op in Idaho. And she said, I don't know what to do. She said, you got to open a store in Idaho. And genuinely she was so wonderful. And so now she's getting the mix, and then she'll send the mix to her grandma, and her grandma will make more delicious treats from Mac-n-Mos mix. I mean, and I told her, he said, your story, your phone call will, get me through to the end of the month. And we stay in touch now. So I told her when she's a doctor, she has to be my spokesperson.
Love it. Love it. So where do people find the more delicious? Is it then you sell them through retailers, or do you sell them online too? Or
yes. So I sell on Mac-n-Mos.com. That's my site. And then I'm in about 30 natural food markets throughout Southern California. I do not have East Coast distribution right now because I have to have a refrigerated distributor. So I'm keeping things still small until I can really expand the right way. And most people that started out with me, we all started in an incubation kitchen in Pasadena. Many of us did. And everybody that I started with has folded because a lot of them expanded very quickly. And I still am more conservative, and I know what I can handle. And that's not to say that I'm not open if somebody wants to come in and help or invest. I'm open to things, but me, Maura, Mo the morsalist, is being conservative so that I stay in business. So
that sounds fun. Yeah. So would you, if someone is, wants to launch a food product like that, what kind of advice would you offer them from your experience?
I think, I did it out of love, and it was never my intention to start a business. So when I started the business, I had a store calling me that they wanted to sell them before I even thought about selling them. Okay. It was through a friend of mine loved them, so I made them for them. It was a couple, and they just said, if we get you the ingredients, will you just make them for us? And so I did, and then they shared it with a friend of theirs who happened to have a store in LA. So that sort of put the bug in my ear. I think most people create a very well thought out business plan and have a whole 5-year projection, and they do it differently. I did everything. I had a business before I had a business. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
So I felt like, I was just catching up and trying to, making mistakes along the way every day. Like, what is that? What do you mean you can't do that? And I did have a wonderful mentor who, he ran this incubation kitchen in Pasadena, and he was instrumental in, helping me and basically saying, look, you got to do this, you got to do that, and every time I would go to him and express frustration, or this is too much, I can't, this is, there's too many no's, too many obstacles. And he said, what about the reason you started this? You did this because there were no products like this for your dad. What about all those other people that are heart patients, diabetics, people with celiac? What about those people? And so he kind of knew me enough to, and then he unfortunately, he passed away horribly 2 years ago. So, but I attribute much of my tenacity in Mac-n-Mos to his wisdom and passion and guidance. So if anybody can find a mentor like that and have a business plan and do your projections ahead of time.
Yeah, well, I got to tell you, I think maybe in the food industry, people do put business plans together, but I meet a lot of small business owners who don't have business plans, and they just do kind of just jump into it. I mean, certainly I did up before I even knew what I was doing as well. So, but it's interesting. I was hosted a mastermind at my home a couple nights ago with some women, and they were talking about, they're in different industries, but they were talking about that's what they're looking for, is the mentor. And I think you really hit on the importance of that, especially when you're getting into something new, that having that support is so important.
Yeah. Oh, it's paramount. It's everything. I mean, to this day, I remember when they started throwing out codes to me, and everything was like a three-digit code. It was like UPCs, SKUs, FDA, M&M. It was constant. I'm like, oh my gosh, I never knew it could be so much stuff, and weights and measures, and things that it was not what I went to school for. It was not what I studied and dreamt of doing. It was just, I felt a need. And I also think that's what is very important for any, as you know, small business owner. You have to be passionate. It's too hard. I mean, I don't know why you would do it otherwise, Yeah. Even for me with acting, if there was something else I could do that filled me the same way, I would. But, when you have, like you do, a passion for something, it's what drives you on those very challenging days, right?
Yes. Yeah. We do run into every now and then.
Every now and then.
Yeah. I had one this morning. Well, no, I was doing a webinar, and all of a sudden I couldn't share the screen to do my PowerPoint that I just spent like the last hour finishing up, and it was like, oh, really? Oh, well, but it was okay. Sometimes you just have to go with the flow, and
Murphy's Law. Yeah,
absolutely. So how, I was trying to think with the health coaching. So how do you work that into your business? Are you seeking clients, or is it basically just people who come to you, like you say, that are looking for the products, and you're just helping them out and answering other questions? Or
it's sort of both. It's more they'll come to me. I have a website. I have on the Mac-n-Mos site, there's explanations and pages for my health coaching. Mm-hmm. I've also been, for the past couple of years, been developing recipes for companies and for clients. Mm-hmm. So I morselfy recipes. So if somebody has a craving, they miss their favorite comfort food, mm-hmm. they'll hire me, and I will create a recipe to their love, until they love it. And it's just as good, if not better than the original. So instead of mashed potatoes for a diabetic, I'll do like a more delicious, I did one, which I loved, a more delicious mashed purple sweet potatoes. Oh my gosh. So there's more fiber, there's less sugar. I mean, they're to die. And I use coconut oil instead of butter. And I mean, people were, there was a couple, they fell in love with it. So then they hired me for a whole succession of recipes. And then I have an ongoing deal with a couple companies who, I create recipes for them every week, and then they'll post them. I've been approached by some cookbooks, so I'll contribute a couple recipes to different cookbooks, like as a guest recipe developer.
Yeah.
And I'm teaching a workshop actually for an organization that's near and dear to my heart. I've been a volunteer with Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Oh, okay.
For 11 years.
Wow.
Same little. She's now in college, so now we're not officially matched, but we're she's family. Yeah. And so they approached me, and I'm teaching a workshop to the littles on health and nutrition, and I'm partnering with a company, and they're donating some meals, some salads from Sweet Green, which is one of my favorite salad restaurants in LA and New York. And so they're donating some salads for that, and then I'm going to teach the littles and their bigs about eating the rainbow. So I do a very interactive fun where I pass around different veggies, because everybody pretty much is familiar with fruit, but I'm trying to get people more versed in vegetables and less sugar.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And a lot of people, and I say kids, but it's adults too, have never seen an original, like a purple sweet potato or a jicama in its original form. We see things cut up, or we see. So I do that, and then I have prizes for some of my littles that get the most right answers or that are the most creative.
Yeah.
And then I have a book that a friend of mine, she wrote a series of books getting kids more active in sports.
Mm-hmm.
And she used Mo the Morsalist as a hero in her, it's a series of, I think she has a series of 10, and I'm in book 7. So it's Henry the Sports Bug meets Mo the Morsalist. And so I'm going to bring a book to raffle at this workshop. And then I've taught many workshops all through corporate, all across the country. I'll do some phone sessions with clients. I will meet one-on-one. I have done teaching, kids healthy cooking, adults as well. It kind of runs the gamut. I will pretty much cater if it's something within my wheelhouse, then I will cater to whatever the client needs. And sometimes it's one person, and sometimes it's a group. So
how do you balance your day with all this stuff going on?
I color code. I do. And I'm looking at your board. My calendar is color coded. So I have green for Mac-n-Mos, I have red for the health coaching and recipe developing, and I have blue for my acting. And then my writing, because I shot a pilot. I think you knew that, right? I shot a pilot that I wrote in April, and that's purple. So my writing, like I said, there's some weeks that get a full devotion, and that's all I'm going to do. Like when I was shooting my pilot, that's it. I had somebody else help me with Mac-n-Mos stuff. And I try to give everybody heads up, like this next week is going to be this, or this next month, give me a couple days to get back to you.
Yeah.
I'm not a flake, and people who worked with me know I will get back to them. I will, follow through. It may not be within an hour, but because if I'm on focus for that day and that's all I'm doing, my turnaround's quick.
Yeah.
But if I give heads up, like if I'm shooting a movie or if I'm working on a play, it just,
yeah.
And now the sad thing is we have smartphones. So even when we're working on something else, if something, an emergency comes in, then you got to take care of it. Even if my brain and my focus is elsewhere, I can't let something go if I know there's an emergency going on,
I know. Yeah.
You know.
Oh, well, that's good to know, though. That's helpful, I think, for people, because it does get kind of crazy sometimes trying to balance, and certainly with you, with lots of different activities.
Look, Gloria, there are months where one thing will take, will be really busy, and then the other stuff will sort of be less busy. So summertime health coaching isn't quite as prevalent. It starts getting, busier. Like for me, it's starting to get busier at the end of August when school gets back into session. And then acting it's always a roller coaster. So it is, and Mac-n-Mos is just pretty steady. And I say this, but I'm knocking on wood. I think I have a pretty decent system down. Of course there are fires to put out, but for the most part, I have my routine, and that's really important too when you're in business for yourself, as I'm sure for you, is having a very, very, very disciplined morning routine, because that starts my day off. If I keep that going, then I'm okay. Because when I first started working for myself, it was easy to kind of like, I'll start around 10 and I'll just sort of do this. And, now I'm very, very disciplined. And, I'll do my writing in the morning, and I'll have a little, coffee, and then I'll exercise. I do that because it also clears my head. And then I shower, eat my breakfast, and get going.
Very good.
You must have your own routine.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I get up in the morning. I do some meditation in the morning and some writing, and then take the dogs for a walk, and then I have breakfast, and then kind of again,
start your day.
Get ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's important because I think a lot of people say, well, how do you do it all? And I said, everybody has 24 hours in the day. We all have the same amount of, and there are people way busier than me. I mean, my gosh, you know, and I think it's just a matter of, and there's some days I don't get it all done.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right?
That's okay too, right? You know, you have to give yourself permission to say, okay, it didn't get done, but tomorrow's another day.
Right. Right. And then apologize.
Yes. If you're dealing with clients, you definitely need to let them know.
Yes. Yes.
Well, awesome. Well, this has been great. You shared a lot of great tidbits here and you know, things to be able to help people out. A lot of great information. So I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule.
Thank you, Gloria. It's such a pleasure. Thank you so much. I'm honored.
No, I'm honored too. So, and what I'll do, I'll have to get some of your contact information, some of those websites. So I'll put it when I post this on my website, and then so if people want to be able to get in touch with you, they know where to go.
Please, yes, thank you. Do you want me to email that to you?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I will.
Sure. So, all right. Well, until next time, I am Gloria Rand, and wishing you all peace, love, and prosperity.